Hey friends, this is Krystle Austin, your host of the Thriving in Her Purpose podcast. I hope you are doing very well. But let me ask you this. What if the reason you're discouraged isn't because you're failing? What if it's because you're measuring success incorrectly? What if you're already succeeding, but you're overlooking the evidence? Today, I want to challenge the way you see success in your life because many women are walking around feeling defeated when they should be actually celebrating. You are so used to focusing on what didn't work, what went wrong, what you need to improve, that you are missing out on how successful you really are. You are overlooking, belittling, or discounting so many accomplishments, but you are more successful than you think. One thing you are doing is you're only counting outcomes, not transformation. The lies we believe are I'll be successful when I lose the weight, I get the promotion, I launch the business, I make six figures, I get married, I finally reach the goal. The problem is when we focus on this, success becomes permanently attached to a future destination. What if the greatest success isn't what you've achieved, but who you become? For example, acknowledge you are the woman who keeps showing up after disappointment, the woman who prays instead of quits, the woman who sets boundaries, the woman who speaks up for herself, the woman who finally believes she belongs in the room. Those are successes. Those are successes you overlook because you are so focused on the tangible success. The key thing to take away here is most women don't need another accomplishment to prove themselves. You need to recognize the success you've already experienced. You really need to recognize who you really are and know you were created to be successful. But before God changes your circumstances, He often changes you. Also, you're ignoring the evidence of your becoming. If someone followed you around for the last 6 months, what evidence would they see that you have grown? Would they see greater confidence, better boundaries, more discipline, more faith, more resilience, more courage? Most women don't track these things, not realizing the journey is even more important than the destination. It's in the journey where your character is built that will help you sustain the accomplishment. But instead, some women are focused on mistakes, failures, what's missing, how far they still have to go. But people have negative bias. We naturally focus on the negative as a means for survival. You are prepared for it so you can be ready for anything that comes. It's the brain's way that it tries to keep us safe. But we become what we focus on. Where your attention goes, energy flows, right? We've heard that. If you focus on what isn't working, you'll feel defeated. If you focus on evidence of your growth, you'll build momentum. One of the reasons I created the Evidence of My Becoming Success tracker is because I realized many women are collecting evidence of failure while completely ignoring evidence of growth. But remember this, you are successful, but most women aren't paying attention. The last thing I want you to know is the woman you're becoming is already showing up. What if the future version of you've been praying for is already emerging? Not fully there, but not perfect, but emerging. Maybe she finally said no, started therapy, opened her Bible consistently, launched a podcast, enrolled in school, started the business, chose herself. The woman you're becoming doesn't suddenly appear one day. She is built through thousands of small decisions. Zechariah 4 and 10 says, do not despise these small beginnings. So God celebrates progress we often overlook. Sometimes to realize is that you're waiting to become her. However, God may already see her. Let me ask you this. What if today you stopped focusing on what's missing and started gathering evidence of what's growing? Your blessings, how you're winning. To overcome this, it takes conscious effort. It takes intention. You have to make the effort to change your habits, right? Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So establish a new pattern, change it. Renew also means here to renovate. When you renovate, you have to tear out the old and put in the new. So you have to tear out the old way of thinking and replace it with what God says. So ask yourself questions like, what growth in my life have I been overlooking? What evidence exists that I'm becoming the woman God created me to be? If I measured success by transformation instead of outcomes, how successful would I actually be? And get this, maybe you're not behind. Maybe you're becoming. Maybe you're not failing. Maybe you're growing. Maybe you're more successful than you think. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. Take a moment today and ask yourself, what evidence exists that I'm growing? What evidence exists that God is working in my life? What evidence exists that I'm becoming the woman He created me to be? Because I have a feeling that if you really sat down and looked, you would find more evidence than you think. The truth is, many of us have become experts at tracking our mistakes, our setbacks, and everything that's still missing. But we rarely take time to recognize our growth, our courage, our faith, and the small victories that are shaping us into who we're becoming. That's actually one of the reasons I created the evidence of my becoming a 90-day daily success tracker. I wanted women to have a place to intentionally capture their growth, celebrate their wins, and collect evidence that they are moving forward, even when they don't feel like it. If this episode spoke to you and you're ready to start seeing yourself through a different lens, I'd love for you to look into getting the success tracker. You can find it through the links in the description. But remember, your transformation is happening, even if it's not always visible. Keep showing up, keep trusting God, keep becoming. Until next time, keep thriving in your purpose.